a lot of summerween reading vlogs recently, and it's making me want to do my own summerween reading vlog. I don't really read a lot of horror books, so the books that I picked for my TBR, I think, are more atmospheric, spooky vibes, and maybe some mystery thrillers. I have 5 books that I'm hoping to read. 3 of them I have on hold from the library right now, and then 2 are from my physical shelf. Let's go over the library books first. So I have The Escape Game by Marissa Meyer and Tamara Moss. This is a YA mystery thriller. I have enjoyed a couple of books from Marissa Meyer, so I think this is going to be another one that I'm going to enjoy. Plus, I can usually read YA mystery pretty quickly. And then I also have Wolfworm by T. Kingfisher. I have read 2 fantasy books by T. Kingfisher, and from what I've heard, when she writes in different genres, she kind of writes with a different voice. So I am very interested to see how she would write her horror books. And then the last book I have borrowed from the library is Japanese Gothic by Kylie Lee Baker. I've heard a lot of good things about this book, so I'm very curious about it. Hopefully, it's not too scary. And then from my physical shelf, I have The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. This is a classic. I have watched the Netflix series based on this book, and that show was really scary. But since I survived that show, I think maybe I'll be able to read this book. And then the last book on the TBR is House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson. I've already started reading this book. I am about 56 pages into it. The main character in this book, she lives in the slum. She is poor and she is currently working as a maid. She's also living with her brother, who is physically unwell, miserable, and abusive. One day she sees this ad in the newspaper looking for a blood maid. She decides to apply for this position and she was accepted. Where I stopped reading, she is currently on the train to her new place of employment. The atmosphere in this book definitely fits spooky Halloween season. I don't know which of these books I want to start reading today, but I am excited to read all of these books. I have finished reading The Escape Game. In this story, we're following 4 main characters. They are the current contestants in this escape room game reality TV show. It's currently season 5. And actually, one of the characters, Sierra, she was on season 4. And her sister was also on season 4 with her. However, during the finale, her sister's body was discovered. Sierra became the main suspect because she and her sister had this huge rivalry going on during the season. However, the killer has not been found yet, so the case is still open. I think Sierra is the most interesting character among the 4. But let me briefly tell you about the other characters. First, we have Carter. Carter is very popular online. She kind of hides behind her avatar. Her avatar is this outgoing girl, but her real self is more on the timid side. Next, we have Beck. Beck is crazy about escape rooms. He even makes his own escape rooms. But his family has some money problems. They have a huge debt. And lastly, we have Adi. Adi's mom used to be a very popular Hollywood movie star. We're following 2 main plots throughout the story. Obviously, we're following the characters as they try to get through each round of the escape room games. And then we're also following them as they try to figure out who actually killed Sierra's sister. This book is really fast paced and it kind of reminds me of Jennifer Lynn Barnes' books. I will say though that the ending is a little bit lackluster, but I did like that before each escape room game, They show you a picture of how the room looks like, so that really helps you to kind of visualize the room. This is also actually gonna be a series. I don't know if I'm gonna continue just because it reads a little bit too young for me, but I do recommend that you check this book out if you are a fan of Jennifer Lynn Barnes and also Holly Jackson.
I am currently 43% into Wolfworm. I mentioned at the beginning of this video that I have read a couple of fantasy books by Kingfisher. They were just okay reads. Like, I didn't feel very invested in the story and with the characters. However, Wolfworm is working for me, and I think I need to read more like spooky horror books by Kingfisher. In the beginning of Wolfworm, our main character arrives in this new town. She just got a job as a scientific illustrator for a doctor. The doctor's research or study is on insects. However, when she arrives at her new home of employment, she finds that things are not as they seem, and maybe the doctor is hiding some secrets. Also, this has a historical setting. It's set in the late 1800s. The atmosphere in this book definitely fits summerween vibes. The story is set in the south and there's insects, there's a lot of nature, plants, trees, and humid weather. Our main character is also very interesting and kind of relatable. She has a lot of anxiety and self-doubt and even some self-depreciation. However, that doesn't stop her from feeling curious and wanting to find out what the doctor is hiding. I cannot wait to dive more into this story because I am also feeling so curious. I mean, I have some thoughts on what the doctor is hiding, but I'm still so interested to find out what's going on through the lens of our main character. So it's 1 week later now, and I have finished 2 books. First, let's talk about Wolfworm that I finished a couple of days ago. I feel like in the fantasy books that I've read by Kingfisher and also in this one, she likes to write her female main characters with this kind of like quirky personality, like they're always in their head and dealing with like anxiety or even like maybe ADHD. And in her fantasy books, I find that kind of character a little bit too much, like too overdone. But in Wolfworm, it actually works for me. I was entertained by the dry humor in this book. It makes the story fun to read, and it's actually not that scary at all. There are some like creepy things going on, but nothing I can't handle. Since this book really worked for me, I think I need to read more of Kingfisher's horror books. And then I have also finished reading House of Hunger. I actually finished this book this morning. This book is very atmospheric and descriptive. In my opinion, I think you do have to pay attention to the details in order to feel fully immersed into the story. There is sapphic romance in this book. Our main character, Marion, becomes a blood mate for the House of Hunger, and the leader of the House of Hunger is the Countess Elizabeth. However, their romantic relationship is very toxic. The Countess is a noble, and she has a different upbringing, while Marion comes from the slums, so they do have this like difference in power dynamic in their relationship. And I feel like sometimes Elizabeth kind of toys with Marion's feelings. Like, sometimes she's love bombing Marion, and then other times when Marion does something that she doesn't like, she will ignore her. And Marion, just yearns to please Elizabeth. So they have this kind of back and forth dynamic toxic relationship. Overall, I did enjoy this book. So I think if you're looking for something short, because this is only like 280 pages, I believe. So something short, atmospheric, with kind of vampire vibes, then you should give this book a try. I have 2 more books to read in this video. Japanese Gothic and The Haunting of Hill House, but I think I'm just gonna read one more book. I'm not sure yet between the two which one I'm gonna read next. We'll see how my week goes, and then I'll come back to you guys with my next update. So I tried reading the first couple of pages for Japanese Gothic and The Haunting of Hill House, and based on my current mood, I decided to go with The Haunting of Hill House. This book is actually set during the summer, so I think it's a perfect book to add to your summerween TBR. And the story is actually different from the Netflix TV show. So at the start of the book, there is this doctor who studies psychic phenomenons, and he becomes interested in Hill House. He wants to experience living in Hill House and study and take notes of whatever is going on in Hill House. He sends out several letters of invitation to other people to join him on this experience, but only 2 women agreed. And another man also joins them. He is the nephew of the family that currently owns Hill House. His aunt wants him to go there, as he will eventually inherit Hill House. So the 4 of them enter Hill House and strange things starts to happen. The 4 of them have a lot of talks and discussions, but some of their conversations feel a bit like make-believe. And then the lines between reality and imagination starts to get a little bit blurry. I will say that I did get a little bit creeped out by, let's say, some of the nighttime events. Among all the books that I've read for this video, I think Hill House is the scariest. And I think it's because even though it's not similar to the TV show, I can kind of link certain scenarios to the show, and it helps me to kind of imagine the scenes in the book, so it feels a little bit more real. I do like We Have Always Lived in the Castle a little bit more than this book, but Hill House is scarier. I also have Dark Tales by Shirley Jackson on my physical TBR, and I think that would be a good one to pick up for October. As much as I enjoyed filming this reading vlog, I am so ready to dive back into fantasy. So the next reading vlog, we will be reading some fantasy books, and I hope to see you guys again in my next video.